Hey, have you started reading The Violet of Fears by Sherlock Holmes?
I have read a couple of chapters and it's pretty interesting.
Yes, we have made it to chapter 6. It's an intriguing story.
Do you want us to tell you what happened?
Sure, what's going on in the first few chapters?
Well, in a warning, Sherlock receives a letter from a mysterious informant, Porlock, who is connected to Moriarty. The letter warns about someone named John Douglas at Bristol Manor. Holmes is intrigued, but before they can act on it, they learn that Douglas has already been murdered.
Exactly. The twist is that the manor has a dowbride, which is raised every night, making the place like an island. So, the question is, how did the killer escape? They find a blue-stained window and a muddy footprints, which suggests that the killer got away by crossing the moat.
And that is where it gets even weirder. When they investigate, they find out that Douglas had a mysterious past. He's been living a happy life with his younger wife, but there is this other man, Cecil Barker, who was also staying at the manor house. It turned out Barker knew about Douglas' secret past, and that raises a lot of questions.
Right. And in Murder at Beerstone, they start piecing together more clues. They find a strange mark burn on Douglas' arm, and his wedding ring is missing. Even more bizarre, the killer left a card with the initials BB and the number 341. It's clear this was a planned murder, but why was the weapon, a loud sawed-off shotgun, used if the killer wanted to escape unnoticed?
And then there's the question of the dumbbell. Only one is found in the scene, but it seems like there should have been two. Holmes noticed this and realized it could be a clue key and it's adding up to something bigger.
Yeah, the more they dig, the more it looks like the crime is connected to some secret society or a past vendetta. But the fact that the killer left such a messy trail, like the blood, footprints, and even the card, raises questions about whether they meant to be caught.
Plus, the clue about the missing wedding ring is pretty telling. It seems the killer was after something more than just a quick murder. They were sending a message. Holmes thinks it might be tied to a large mystery involving Moriarty, but we still don't know who exactly did it. So, in the following chapters, things start getting even more complicated. We find out about the hidden bicycle, which suggests someone left in a hurry. But there is still no clear answer as to how the killer escaped. Holmes gathers all the witnesses and starts piecing together the timeline. We learn a lot about Douglas' mysterious past in California, and there is definitely something shady going on with Barker and Mrs. Douglas.
Right, Baker's backstory really complicates things. He hints at some secret society and even suggests that Douglas was being hunted down because of something on his past. And then there's Mrs. Douglas, who seems to know more than she lets on. She mentioned her husband talking about the value of fear, which is a clue that something big from his past is catching up with him. There's definitely tension between her and Baker, almost like they are covering for each other.
And don't forget about the slippers with blood on them. Holmes notices that Barker's slippers are stained, which sets off alarm bells. But the stranger part is when Holmes starts suspecting that the real murderer might not be who everyone thinks. He starts questioning the timeline, and it looks like someone is lying about when the murder actually happened. Holmes even calls out Mr. Douglas and Barker for their strange behavior.
Yes, and when Holmes finds out about the dumbbell being missing, he gets even more convinced that things aren't adding up. The missing dumbbell is a key piece. It's part of a big lie that's being hidden. Meanwhile, the whole investigation starts circling around the possibility that someone's been manipulating the evidence. Holmes believes that Barker and Mrs. Douglas are hiding something, but he's not sure if they are the ones who actually did it.
Oh, and then there's a scene where Holmes sets the trap, right? He has the detectives write a letter to Baker about draining the moat, and when they wait in the dark, they finally catch a glimpse of Baker pulling the dumbbell from the water. Turns out it's all a setup, and Baker has been hiding crucial evidence.
Exactly, it's a huge reveal. Holmes shows that the body they have been investigating wasn't even Douglas, but a man named Ted Baldwin, who had been posing as him. The real John Douglas has been hiding in the house this whole time, and it turns out the murder was a result of a fight between Douglas and Baldwin, someone from Douglas' past, part of the whole Valley of Fear saga.
It's wild. It's not just about solving a murder anymore. It's about uncovering this massive web of secrets from the past. And the whole time, Holmes has been playing this long game, waiting for the right moment to reveal everything.